I only speak in whispers. I see you moan, and I can feel you quiver. Cry louder, bitch. I only speak in whispers. I see you moan. Cry louder, bitch. I only speak in whispers. I see you moan, and I can feel you quiver. Cry louder, bitch. I only speak in whispers. I see you moan. Cry louder, bitch. I only speak in whispers. I see you moan, and I can feel you quiver. Cry louder, bitch. I only speak in whispers. I see you moan. Cry louder, bitch. Cry louder, bitch. Intellect. December 21st, infinite novelty. Crafting up codes, defining my reality. Never gonna finish writing, that is how my novel be. Action, reaction, just a lot of causality. Infinite novelty, December 21st. The start is the end, and the last is the first. You might catch me traveling through the past. It's a blast. I get nasty. Fuck you, I'm a gamma ray burst. Fuck you, I'm a gamma ray burst. Fuck you, I'm a gamma ray burst. I get nasty. I get nasty. I'm theoretical like tachyon particles. I hit you with diamonds and leave you in sparkles. I'm a demon, I cackles. I'm gonna leave you in shackles. You can't play with my Tetris, you got nothing to stack with. You ain't playing no games, you just high on crap whips. I ain't got time for fly subs, set up traps. You call yourself a runner, but you ain't running. They say that life is the lesson, so don't let 'em make it a teacher. But there's no way I'm a student when I'm really a preacher. I'm boosting up my signal, so my sound will reach you. From the top of your attic to the ground beneath you. In life after death, there might be no conquest. The challenge is now. There's no avoiding this test. In life after death, there might be no conquest. The challenge is now. There's no avoiding this test. I need some more time to write the rest of this story. I'll spare you the details. The process is boring. If you can't code, your brain is going to explode, rot, corrode, erode, overload, like an electrode. Your whole mind explodes. That's been walking on how many years now on death row? All because you think it would be weird to command your console. So post-mortem, your family, I will console. Shortly before I devour they soul. And they brains and bodies I now's control because everyone's got that missing hole.
You see, President Bush was in a secret society at Yale called the Skull and Bones. His dad was too, and they all worship Satan.
President Bush worships Satan?
In my personal opinion, absolutely.
Welcome to hell post 9/11. One of all terrorists goes straight to heaven. Shit was flipping hot straight down to ground zero. Everyone who died was a motherfucking hero. Sorry I get emotional when I talk about this shit, but at the end of the day, George Bush was a bitch, a puppet, a tool, a pawn of war. Took all of our troops on an Afghan tour. Alhamdulillah, I praise the devil, dropping them bombs on straight heavy metal. Lots of people died, but we might have deserved it. The great Satan Lucifer, America's working. Penis bumping, missile bitches get to jerking. Eating carbon much about you need a new merkin. Chopping up your body parts, call me the surgeon. Need a new body or inner cell emerging. Got some loose change? I'll give you the story. Larry Silverstein got all of the glory. Check out the music that came out that day. If God hates us all, then we better fucking pray. Al-Qaeda, ISIS, Taliban, Jihad. The CIA funded the war is fraud. Just as fake as the one true God. Lord of many faces, bitch, show me what you got.
And one of the Skull and Bones initiation rituals is that to get in, you have to lie naked in a coffin and masturbate in front of the older members. But the really messed up thing is that since former President Bush, Bush Sr., was also a member, he requested to be there to watch his son's initiation. So he watched his own son masturbate. President Bush masturbated in front of his dad. Yeah, it's pretty gross.
Okay. I think we're good to go. I got something very specific I wanted you to start with. And then we'll get into the meat of everything that there is to finish. See, the bitrate is dropping on and off. Hopefully that shit picks up. Won't be a very good recording if bitrate's not high. Now, why would the bitrate be dropping? We should be pushing a lot more. I'm not sure why it would be being lame like this. It's not because I'm playing music, is it? I'm not even streaming the music. I'm just wondering if the drop-off is due to my CPU not being able to hang or not. But damn, I'm watching that bitrate drop. It's not even hitting 4,000. This is what I set it at. Jesus Christ. Will I ever be able to stream live with a good connection ever again? Fuck. This has not been a problem in the past as much. But what the fuck? I'm dropping way too many frames right now. You know what? I don't even know if I want to stream right now with all of these drop frames. Fuck. This is really annoying. Why in the fuck? Would our shit be crapping out this bad? Bitrate's not even ever hitting 4,000. It started off that way, but God knows I have no idea why. Okay, it actually peaked 4,000 just now, but man, inconsistent as fuck. So I guess let's just do it. Let's just get what we can get out there. Hopefully it's not too bad. Hopefully it actually picks back up. It looks like it's up now, but goddamn, for a minute there. All right. Before any other problems occur, let's fucking do this thing. Right away, when we run the game, I want to point out that we have a couple variables, right? We have like a player speed, okay? And there's a white power-up that will appear at some point once I've got, you know, sufficient shits. The white power-up affects player speed. It makes you move faster. But at the moment, there's no cap on how many of those power-ups you can get. And we want to limit how many of those you can pick up. I want to play until I get a white one. Just so you know what the fuck I'm talking about. I'm also thinking about like sound effects. I'm thinking about putting some real cheap, free sound effects in, so I don't have to think too hard about stuff right now, because getting some sound feedback would be really nice. In terms of like the game, you know? Microphone seems a little quiet. I could probably turn my shit up somehow. Yeah. There we go. That's much better. Okay. Got my microphone a bit louder. Let me check the chat and then continue. What's up, viewers? How are y'all doing? Hit me in the chat if you're watching. Give me something to talk about when I do check the chat, because otherwise I'm just gonna be rambling about what I'm doing here. So whenever you pick up a power-up, update skull collisions. Update skull collision. So this is the function that runs whenever the player runs into a power-up. We check what type of power-up the player just ran into, and then we handle it appropriately. For instance, if you pick up the skull speed power-up, it increments the player speed by 2. So what does the player speed start at? Current player speed gets set to whatever default speed is assigned to in the beginning. Default player speed gets initialized to 8. So if every power-up gives you 2 extra speed, then getting 5 of them would mean that you're moving at speed 18. So if current player speed is less than 20, I don't know how many we would actually want to add in, but let's just make this like an arbitrary limit for right now. Because I know at some point the player moves too fast after picking up too many of these power-ups, right? I've done it myself. You know, you collect so many, and then before you know it, you're just zooming way too fast. So like we can even test this, right? By messing around with the default speed. We can even jack it up to 20 and see whether or not that feels too fast. That's pretty fast, right? So like if we doubled that, that'd probably be way too fast. And even then, you can combine movements with the shift key to kind of like slow down and speed up, but it's not as precise anymore. It's pretty goddamn fast. So let's like take 10 off of that and see how that feels. It's still pretty fast. Like, you know, getting that precision movement is difficult at this speed, which is why I have the shift key slow you down a bit. There's an alternative movement speed for when you're holding the shift key down that's like slow movement. And the reason that we want this is obviously because of precision movement requirements in order to do things like bullet grazing, right? we want to be able to implement bullet grazing. The player's going to have to be able to move within a pixel of the sprite that they're colliding with. Like, and we haven't gotten to that point yet, but I'm just kind of thinking out loud, right? So it's related to player speed, so being able to put a cap on that early on, I feel like it's going to be important. So like, player speed was like 8 to begin with, and we're capping their maximum movement speed at the moment to 20, which would be the equivalent of grabbing 5 of those power-ups. I'm not sure which makes more sense in terms of, I think this might be better because it's less code. I'll leave that as is. There's no cap on knife speed either. We should do that. Current knife speed. Oh, we actually never assigned that in the init, so we actually do need to pull that over from the main. A good thing I thought about that. All right, so default knife speed starts off at 4, and there's no cap at the moment. But we have this theme of operating in 5s for the power-ups. So why not? Let's cap it at like 10. If current knife speed is less than 10, and you grab the speed power up, increment it by 1. Eventually we'll have a max health power up that will increase your max health. It'll just be a heart with like a white outline, kind of like as an homage to Legend of Zelda. So we put a cap on knife speed as well as the player speed. So there is a speed power up. Got a knife so I can fire extra knife. And moments, just 2 spawn generators. So not a whole lot's going to be happening for the first little bit here. But we want to get 5 of the speed power-ups. And actually, for better testing purposes, we're going to want to
set it up so that I can just like very quickly spawn something new in the middle of a game, or tune the in-game parameters so that, like, for instance, only certain power-ups spawn. There's a couple ways I could go about hacking that functionality in, but at the moment would be a little bit overkill. Alright, so we got a second speed power up. We got a double shotgun. Kind of we got triple knives now. It's pretty great because we can start taking out like whole waves, rows and columns of enemies, depending on how they hit. All right, we got our third speed up, and we're gonna see that it's pretty it's limited. And actually, once we hit a certain max, we're gonna want to stop spawning certain power-ups to begin with, right? That's like some more infrastructure that I'm gonna have to write in. There's a fourth speed up. We're almost at the max there. And this enables us to move around the screen rather quickly now. So the potential for very intense combat is developing. So right now, all the enemies are really easy to kill, right? But by demoing that, like, the eyeballs do have higher HP, we can start making it like really difficult by introducing, like, for instance, a power-up that wouldn't really be a power-up so much as a power down, by making all of the enemies tougher by giving them more HP when they spawn. Or maybe you have a random chance of a knife not actually doing damage, and so you have to fire the knife again. Or, you know, there's a number of different things. We definitely want a weapon power up that would allow for knife pass through, so that, like, let's say you don't happen to get the shotgun early on, but you do get the pass through. And pass through would allow your knives to pass through multiple enemies, which you might need because you might happen to have that many enemies to deal with. So now we're limiting the maximum player speed and knife speed, I should say. do recognize the quality of this recording is not all that great, so I'm not going to be doing a ton on this stream. Unfortunately, I keep forgetting that the bandwidth during the day is kind of wonky as far as upload goes. But I've been wanting to do more game dev for a while. I'll probably do an offline video where I do a bunch of coding and then speed it up and then explain to you what I'm doing on top of it and then demo it all at the end. I think that might be a better approach, because seeing that OBS drop in, kbps is just really disheartening. But on the plus side, we've been having people watch. Hi, Jill. I don't really do 3D yet, so I might be the wrong person to ask for help, so I do apologize. I myself need to learn 3D programming. I've been dabbling in it a little bit, and while I understand a lot of major primitive concepts, there's still a lot that I have to do, and there's a separation between 3D programming from modeling, right? And if you're doing modeling, I'm definitely not the person to ask, because I've never done 3D modeling before. It's on my to-do list of things to play around and experiment with, but in the past, I've never really had plans for making 3D games very strongly. And if I were to, I'd be want to play around with engines like voxel engines, try to write my own and see exactly how they work from the ground up and see if there's any sort of innovation on that genre or space that I'd be able to do. But when it comes to traditional 3D games or making something like that, it's really just not been something that I've had a strong vision for. So I do apologize. I'm just probably not the right person to ask for that. It's not that I don't want to help. It's just that I probably can't help you. But I can at least say that if you're not using Blender, then you're probably doing something wrong. Unless there's some sort of other wireframing, framework or toolkit that is kind of like an industry standard. Other than that, but I know that Blender is really popular and that a lot of people use it to make models and probably import them into their games. So, check into 3D modeling, check into Blender, check into Unreal 3D. If I were going to go with a major game development framework, I would probably want to go with either Godot or Unreal. But like I said, 3D has just not been something that I've done a lot of work with over my life. I mean, for fuck's sakes, I don't even have a GPU on this computer that I'm streaming off of. Everything that I'm streaming here is 100% onboard graphics, Intel HD. I don't even have NVIDIA. I don't even have AMD. My phone has a better graphics card than all of my desktop computers. My sister's boyfriend has a GPU that he uses to play games on, but he's not doing programming. He's not doing 3D modeling work. He's not doing video processing. He's playing games, and that's what most people with heavy-duty GPUs do. And I've never really been the modern, up-to-date PC gamer because I do most of my gaming on consoles. Which is ironic considering I'm developing a game that's going to be initially released on PC, Mac, and Linux to begin with. And I don't even have an infrastructure for getting the game onto other platforms yet, because that would require me to either bow down and submit to one of these paid services that allows you to very easily write something in one unified framework and export it to multiple different systems, or come up with the tool chain necessary to build working versions of the game on those platforms, test them myself, and I'd have to test them no matter what, right? Like, no matter what my solution for getting them onto other platforms is, I'm still going to have to make sure that it works and runs and looks good on all of those different devices that I support. So the fewer devices that I support in the beginning, the easier it's going to be on me. But the nice thing about this particular setup is that it's going to run well on those 3 platforms. And windowed or not, let's see. Like here's windowed, here's full screen. Here's windowed, here's full screen. I'm able to shift between those two, and because of the way that I'm doing the rendering, everything looks smooth. Everything looks good, no matter whether or not it's windowed or full screen. And I'd probably even be able to make it look and feel good at smaller resolutions as well. Actually, one of the ideas I had is to actually go back and scale down the size of the graphics and then actually stretch things out further, because there was a stream I did where I showed that the spinning of the knife was blurry under a certain resolution, so I scaled it up. And then as a result, I ended up scaling up all the graphics. Everything is about 4x what it was initially designed at. And part of the aesthetic that I've wanted to have with mini games going forward is to try to keep designing sprites at such a low res as to be inexpensive to procedurally generate and come up with large numbers of variants on one particular input. That was actually the initial idea going into my dungeon crawler project A, which the source code I started a long time ago, and I'm going to get back to eventually in this format, doing it on C++. All in due time. All in due time. That would be a fun thing to actually get rolling again. I'm going to be piecing Skull forward over time, and I'll be dropping new videos as I do work on it. But now that I've kind of got a pattern for making something in general and then proof of concepting it and getting it out there, I want to have a number of different sandboxes for each major game genre, like old school genre, platformers, RPGs, action games. In this case, a shoot 'em up. I want to be able to very easily throw together sandboxes for each one of those games and actually take them forward far enough to make something real with them. This is 2024, and you know, some of y'all have probably seen me firing out Skyrim content as I take breaks from doing work on other things, and it's fun, but it's ultimately not the end goal. The end goal is to have my own games and show you how to make them, and to make something really deep, involved, and fun, and to have a good time doing it with all of you. So I've kind of lost steam here. but everything that we got is going to be up online. Let's see, we limited player speed today. So we ended up limiting. Let's see, we got knife speed increase. We got spread increase. I don't think we have a damage up at the moment, but you don't really need it. We did that. We've got pause, we got unpause. We got game over, we've got restart game. We've got magnet range. We've got the cap on the speed ups. We've capped that. We have not done shrink yet. I don't know what color that would be. Actually, now is a good time to take a break because I see my grandmother moving. So I know not many of y'all joined, and I know I didn't do a whole lot this stream, but PNG assets don't necessarily have to be encrypted. Panda Techno. That's an interesting thought to think about. I've probably overinvested way too much time into thinking about stuff like asset packing. Do we need to do this? Too much work to encrypt, decrypt, pack assets in general. To what benefit? Someone will just reverse engineer everything anyway. The game is open source for a reason. Ideally, other people could make and use their own graphics if they wish. Because I'm not the best artist in the world, and I'm not making this game to like showcase my art skills or anything like that, so much as my programming ability. I don't really have a great way to like produce sprites right now, and in the near future, like I said, a lot of the future games are going to have procedurally generated assets, so that I don't really have to do a whole lot in the sprite making department because it's a lot of work, and it's a lot of work that takes away from game design and development. I could spend a long time working on just one sprite, you know? It's kind of a rabbit hole, if you will. And I actually did not have to step away, so let's kind of keep rambling for a little bit. Asset packing, do we need to do this? Sound effects need some free old school 8-bit-ish sound effects you just throw in for various in-game events. Getting hit, picking up a power-up, moving, firing a knife, enemy death, enemy hit, game over, pause, game start, game restart. One thing I want to think about before I go is spawn generator. When we go to actually spawn a entity, spawn generator. So the HP that we pass that currently is generated for the different enemies is hard coded. Like Eyeball's HP gets determined by the scale that we pass in. When we could actually modulate spawn bats and spawn bat and spawn eyeball so they all receive an HP. Because like right here, like for the bat, for instance, HP is always going to be 1 unless we do something to pass in hit points, right? Spawn generator HP. I could do this. We could do this real fast. Let's fucking go. So spawn bat currently takes all of this, right? X, Y, VX, VY scale, and then HP. Right? So at the moment, the place where we're calling spawn bat, which is spawn bats, does not use the new parameter. So we're going to pass that in and just hard code it as 1 to start with. But actually, while we're here, we're going to add another parameter, const int HP to spawn bats, and then pass that in to spawn bat when we call it. Now, everything should not build still. Good. So over an update, where we actually call spawn bats, actually, we're not using that spawn bat at the moment, but we are using a new constant HP here. And then when we call it down here, we're going to pass 1 in to let it know, hey, we want to set all of these bats HP to be 1 in the very beginning here. So now we are able to pass in an HP totally custom for bats. So to prove this, I'm going to jack it up to like 10. And we're going to play long enough to see that bats are now fucking hard as shit. Look at that. 3, 4, 5. I can't even kill them fast. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Damn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Shit. I can't even kill a motherfucker. Alright. 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Shit. I can't even kill them. Okay, let's jack it down to like 5. We've proved that the modulation works. 1, 2, 3. One of them was a 2. Oops. 1, 2, 3, 4. Fuck. 1. Damn it. Let's try. Ah, we gotta try that again. All right. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So the modulation works, but bats, we want a cheap, easy enemy to kill. That's why their HP is 1. Eventually, as they level up, the bats will get harder, and you'll have to do more damage to them, but your default weapon will kind of scale up alongside it, so it'll, you know, unless you're doing a really bad job of getting power-ups, shouldn't be a problem. So in spawn eyeball, we want to do the same thing. We want to pass a constant HP. And instead of it being dynamically set here, we're going to make it HP. So program should break because we changed the parameter count on spawn eyeball. So now we need to add in a constant HP, and then down where we actually call it, we have to set a HP here. Now initially for the eyeball, because we're not yet passing HP through the generator, constant HP equals 4. And then eventually this will get pulled in from the generator. But for right now, eyeballs are going to have 4 HP. One, 2, 3. Because that first knife was spinning, its damage was 2. So we only had to hit the eyeball with 3 knives that time. But 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've modular HP for eyeballs and bats. So the next phase of this process would be to go into our components.h. Take a look at generators. So whenever we create a new generator, because these are the things that are meant to actually do the enemy spawning, if we wanted to create a custom generator that spawn an enemy with a particular HP set, we would have to add a parameter here. So if we did that, we could just say int HP. Now, we should get some breakage, I would expect. No, everything built. But it is yelling about not having a parameter set for screen position. And that makes sense because we just added an HP. And if we actually added it at the end, then it would be yelling at us about no HP set. And that way the order of the initial parameters is not broken. See, now it's yelling about HP over here, right? So if we wanted to like, I like the idea of keeping all of like the same data type together in my struct definitions. So we're going to go and keep it like that for right now. And over in update, when we actually go to spawn generator, or rather, yeah. So we need to pass in HP after frame begin. And then if HP is less than 1, we return. And then when we're actually creating the generator, we have to pass HP in to the struct definition. Of course, it's yelling at us in spawn generator, or in a init, because we never passed in a new parameter here. Grandma's coming out pretty soon, so I am going to have to step away from the computer. Let's see. Init, too few arguments to call. Yeah, so for the eyeball, after frame begin, we're going to pass in 4 for the HP. And then down here for the bats, HP is going to be 1. And we're going to pass HP in right here. Looks like the game built. And just to prove that we're correctly passing things in, let's set the bat HP to 4. Okay, no. We're passing it incorrectly, but we're not actually pulling from there in the update. So in the update, when we actually go to handle our generators, we need to be pulling the HP out of here, right here. So we pull the HP out right there, and then we pass it in right here, and we can prove that we're successfully pulling HP in. Yep, and sure enough, it's correctly working now. Just in the nick of time, too. I'm going to leave this up for a moment. Okay. So, as you can see, everything works pretty good. But we don't want bats to be that hard, so when we actually generate them in the very beginning here, they're going to be set to 1. So now we have modular HP. So what this would allow for is being able to create different waves of enemies that have more or less HP. So from one enemy, we can have many different enemies by varying their hit points. We could even have bats that have randomly generated hit points by using a custom value to represent the hit points, because ultimately it's just a value that we're passing into a data structure, and then before we even spawn an enemy can do something with that value. But at the moment, all we're doing is just strictly copying it into the enemy on creation. So very straightforward in the end. And speaking of the end, I think that's the end of us for right now. I want to thank everyone for joining. Thank everyone in chat for asking questions. What causes the lag? I'm not sure if you're talking about the lag that I'm experiencing due to the fucked up bandwidth that I'm experiencing, where I'm getting dropped frames and whatnot, or if you're talking about any perceived lag in the gameplay of the game when I'm playing, which I'm broadcasting only at 30 FPS, even though the game is capable of running at 60. It's probably going to look a little bit less smooth for you, just due to that constraint of my lack of proper broadcasting equipment. It's another reason that I've been preferring to make videos as opposed to broadcasting live. It's not that I'm not comfortable broadcasting live, even when I do have the uninterrupted space. But for one reason or another, the internet here isn't as good as it was just a few minutes down the road from here. Not sure if it's because we aren't paying for the maximum speed or what, but it's an unfortunate situation, and just one that I'm having to deal with. And so I thank you for your patience with me and for any perceived difficulties that you experience during my stream. So thank you, Dingo. I really appreciate your support. I hope that answers your question. All right, friends. It's been fun. Until next time, this has been Evil Dojo. Where's that sick title that I made? Right here. Yeah.